Right. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the City of South Pasadena Public Works Infrastructure Commission. Today is Wednesday, October 8th. Would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Dunlap,
Here.
Commissioner Kerwin,
Here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Sharma,
Here.
Commissioner Mailing, Commissioner Brunel, and Commissioner Hernandez has advanced notice of absence.
Right. And I'm here.
And Chair Abelson, my apologies.
No worries. Thank you very much. Let's see. Next up, I think we have the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Sharma, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right, first item on the agenda is public comment for items that are not already agendized for tonight. Do we have anyone here in the chamber or online who wishes to make public comments?
There are none at this time.
Okay, thank you, Philip. All right, so with that, we'll close public comment. Next up, reordering additions, deletions to the agendas. Does anybody on the commission want to mix up the order? No. Okay, we will push forward. All right, so item 3, update on status of the Fremont-Huntington Corridor Improvement Project. Staff. Good evening.
Good evening, commissioners. How are you doing?
Good.
Thank you for, this tonight's agenda may not have been exactly based off of the work plan, but staff has been very busy over the last 2 months. So we felt we'd take this opportunity to just share some of the progress on these major projects that we've been working on. For the Fremont-Huntington Corridor Improvement Project, staff had been working on preparing a request for proposals from the beginning of the year, which was advertised on July 9th. Proposals were due August 27th, at which point we received 6 proposals. For the month of September, we were rating those proposals. We interviewed the consultants that had submitted proposals based on their qualifications, work experience, expertise, project approach were all categories that were scored. And on October 1st, we recommended council award the design contract to Kimley Horn and Associates for an amount not to exceed $2.4 million. And so now our next steps are going to be to have that kickoff meeting, start preparing conceptual plans. There will be more town hall meeting, public outreach, where we're sharing what we're finding for the design options. And as part of that proposal, we did include, the tool design report with the proposal so that all the consultants that were preparing their proposals knew where they're to draw ideas from. And now that we're entering design, we'll be looking at all those ideas, seeing what's feasible, what's it going to look like within our budget. And those will be all big discussions that we bring to the commission and to the community to share our findings and hear from the community how exactly they would like us to proceed with this very large project. And we're aiming to go on a pretty accelerated schedule because we do have some funding that will lapse in June of 2028. So it's important that we move, as not quickly, but strategically, and make good use of our time over the next approximate year while we're in design. That's the update for the Fremont-Huntington project. Staff's available to provide any answers to questions if you may have any.
Great. Thank you very much, Michael. Before we get to the members of the commission, I just asked to see if there's any public comment on this item, live or online. All right, hearing none. Okay.
There are none.
All right. Okay, we'll close that public comment for this item and we'll go to the commission. Does anyone have any questions, comments for staff? Commissioner Dunlap.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Michael, for the update. Looking at that, you mentioned that toll report and there are a lot of ideas in there. Which ones is Kimley Horn looking at? Are they looking at all of them or just certain ones?
We included the entire proposal and let all of the consultants that are putting a proposal together know that,
Mhm.
they're to evaluate all of the findings and the recommendations from the report. And then, let us know which ones they feel are feasible at, approximate cost and impact.
And I know from working on these types of projects, you start with the most optimistic timeline. We're gonna have this in 6 months, and we're gonna be back to the community in 6 months. Realistically, what do you think? What are the milestones for them?
Mhm.
And also, what does the community engagement or public process look like throughout, this
Yeah.
design?
Talking with Kimley Horn, I think they're working on, an online even presence where, they'll curate a website specifically for this project, preparing conceptual designs for us to review first and kind of see, if we do this type of an option, how does that impact drainage, trees, other improvements that are in the street, and then we can kind of say, and what's the cost of that, right? And we kind of weigh it out between different ways of accomplishing something similar. Maybe at a 30% very preliminary conceptual plan, we'll bring it with the commission, and we'll probably schedule some kind of town hall meeting to start hearing from the community. And then that can just be even an open ended, if any community member has any questions or, wants to reach out to us, they can always submit a comment for us to hear what the community is saying.
But as far as like time frame
Total.
goes, for to that, I guess that'd be the end of 30% design. That'd be your end of what PAED phase
Yes.
ish,
Yeah.
and then moving. Do you have a
Probably by like February or March or so. February or March of 26.
okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right, Commissioner Sharma.
I'm just going to ask the same question he asked, but maybe in a slightly different way. You mentioned in your presentation that some of the funding has a deadline to be expended by. So basically re-asking the same question. It sounds like you still feel like the project is in a good place to have the design where it needs to get to have the town hall meetings, to get the feedback, figure out which way to go, but to do all that work before the funding expires.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
I just want to second that. That's just at the top of my head too, that same concern, that timeline, to do the design, then procure a contractor, get work done and actually invoice it.
Right.
In 2028
June
is,
2028.
But it's not construction, right? The 2028.
That is construction.
Oh, it is
on-
construction. Oh, wow.
Which is why we were trying to
Okay,
be
never
as
mind.
swift as we can.
I thought you were just getting to end the design.
Swift, thorough, and
Okay.
All right, thank you all. Any other questions, comments for staff? Michael, anything else on this item?
not at
No.
the time.
Okay, all right. We will move to item 4, update on the North-South Fair Oaks ITS deployment project.
Okay, sure. Thank you. I just wanted to take this opportunity to close the loop on our discussion from August. So, the commission reviewed our 50% plans end of August at our meeting and, made the motion to review the bulb outs and recommended that we retain the bulb out options. So over the month of September, we prepared different options to bring back to council. Option 1 was a modify curb ramps only if needed to maintain ADA or comply with ADA requirements and maintain the footprint of the bulb outs as is. Option 2 was our existing design, which was the northeast and southwest corner, curb extension removal design at the 4 intersections, Hope Street, El Centro, Mission, and Oxley. And option number 3 was kind of a hybrid between option 1 and 2, where we were trying to reconstruct all 4 of the corners, removing the sharp corners that we see out there right now. And council reviewed the options and, recommended option number 1. And we also explained to council that, we understand that there is an appetite in the community to have a Fair Oaks corridor improvement project similar to what we're doing on Fremont Huntington. And that'll be a future, long-term plan that the city will have to apply for grant funding. But ultimately, I just want to share the update with the commission that option one is what was council approved, and we're working with our design consultant to move forward with that option. So at the next stage, when we receive, 90% plans, we'll bring that back to the commission as well. We anticipate having that by early of 2026, January or February.
Thank you, Michael. Just check for public comment quickly to see if there's anything in line or in chamber on that.
There are none at this
There are
time.
none. All right, so we'll close public comment. Questions, comments on this item? Yeah, Commissioner Dunlap.
Yeah, I'm curious what the cost estimate right now looks like of that project. I know you probably don't have a full engineer's estimate if
Sure.
you're not through with design.
I may. Construction, you meant, correct?
Yeah, for construction or,
No, what we received is a design. estimate
Right.
for that. That was around 36,000.
it was what,
36,000.
36,000? But
It's
it's,
about the plus
but
or minus.
we have 10,
Fine.
is it 10 million for this one?
Yes, so we have $10 million
Okay.
grant funding, but we haven't received the construction cost estimate yet. We anticipate between now and the 90% or 60%, we'll probably get a better idea of the cost.
Do you have an idea? Do you think we'll be in that range, that 10 million range, or do you think it'll come back 12, 13, 14, or?
It may,
7, 8?
it may be premature of us to say for
Okay.
sure, but as soon as we know, we'll definitely bring that to the commission. We'll share what our findings are.
Okay, thank you.
So the 90% is due, the 90% is due by November 2nd or so. So by that time, we'll have a much better idea what the cost will be like.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments for staff on Fair Oaks? None. All right. Any final thoughts, Michael, before we move on? This is going way too quickly. All right, moving on to item 5, update on the status of the Orange Zone reconstruction project. And I'll just make an ask that if you could remind us of the general boundaries of the Orange Zone, that'd be great.
Yeah, so the Orange Zone is our first zone approach reconstruction project that we've started design for. The design contract was awarded by council on September 17th to Kabara Engineering. As far as bounds, it's the southeast corner of the city, bound to the north by Hope and the west by Fremont. Excluding, it doesn't include all the streets, right? We've excluded our major arterials, namely Fremont and Huntington, because we have the other project that will be addressing those streets. But it does include Oak, for example, and then we'll include all the other streets that were not included in our slurry seal project over the summer, or were already in very good condition because I believe they were paved in either 2015 or 2018. But in total, it's about 4 miles of street resurfacing, and also includes water line upgrades, either upsizing water lines or replacing water lines, and will include sewer line replacement as well, sidewalk replacement, curb ramp upgrades. So we're approximating about a $15 million construction cost for that, and we're projecting to complete the design by end of 2026 and go into construction in 2027. With that, if there are any questions regarding that project, well, these are the updates, and a lot of things are going into design right now. And as you know, of course, as we reach milestones, we'll bring that to the commission. Orange Zone's a fairly straightforward project in the sense that it's local streets. It's not really any of our major corridors, with the exception of Oak. So I do anticipate some, traffic calming or traffic improvements along Oak Street.
All right, thank you, Michael. Public comment check. Anything in the crowd or online?
There are none at this
No.
time.
Okay, we'll close it. I have one question on this, but does anybody else have any questions, comments on this item? So I think you mentioned the cost is approximately 15 million. what's the source of that? How much do we have or do we expect to have of that funding? And are we going to need to fill the gap? And if so, how?
Sure. So it's probably going to be approximately 50-50 between water enterprise funds for our water line replacements. And generally, we use local dollars. So it's Fund 104 for our street improvements and concrete work. During budget season this year, we were looking at how we can fund these few projects that are coming up, this and then, the one we'll talk later on, the Indiana Pasadena Avenue project. We believe we can afford all of these projects that are going to construction. And then, we're working on creating a plan to bring to council addressing all the other streets in the city as part of a, 8 to 12-year plan to moving forward. And that'll be a discussion with council on how we finance that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Michael. Anything else before we move on? No? Okay, and yes,
Sorry.
Russ.
Just,
Oh, yes.
so the next zone you're working, what is the next zone? Which color is it? And then where does that stand? I mean, are you starting the design for that here? Is it every year a different zone? Is it?
Well, I believe we originally thought we would do one zone per year. I think now we're trying to shift to doing maybe 2 or 3 different, like smaller portions of 2 or 3 different zones each year so that we can, make improvements throughout the entire city and all of the community. So no one community has to wait 7 or 10 years before we get to them. This way, in the first 2, 3 years, we can impact a few neighborhoods and then we'll come back again and make a second and third round. That's
Is
the
that-
approach that we're trying to take.
Okay. And so you're still working out the details of that plan? Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll have a better idea before the end of the year exactly how we want to move forward, particularly because some zones, like we have the yellow zone, which is up in the hills, we can't go into that entire community at once. So that's kind of why we broke off Indiana Avenue with the project we're in design right now. And so we'll have to be more strategic as we go into those zones of how we approach paving there.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, so just have a follow-up to Commissioner Kerwin's. So you mentioned as you move to the different colors, the thought is to maybe pare down maybe what we originally thought about doing in terms of every street in the zone so that everybody gets covered, which I think very reasonable. For this first zone, I guess orange, are we paring down at all in this area or?
I don't think so at this time. We'll have a much better idea in the next coming months once we start looking at the financial aspect of how these projects will be financed.
Okay,
Depending on how that conversation goes, then we'll have to, make adjustments and strategize.
okay. Thank you.
But the orange zone is in construction. I mean, design right now, the entire zone. It's not been broken off into smaller pieces.
Right, okay,
Mhm.
great. Thank you, Michael. Commissioner Dunlap.
Thanks for sharing about, I guess, the smaller parts of the zone. One of the attractive things of the zone approach is you take a little bit of the politics out of it, and you have, this street yelling more than this street, and so the streets get touched and not this street. If you're doing not every street in a zone, how will you determine what subset of that zone to do? Is it I go argue against people in my zone and say my street's worse or
I think we'll still keep it within a certain vicinity bound by certain streets, right? So we keep all the work in one area, even if it's a smaller piece of one zone. That's at least how I envision it at this time.
okay, like a checkerboard of each zone.
In a sense, yes.
All right, any final thoughts, comments, questions on orange zone streets? Okay. Thank you again. Moving on to item 6. Update on status of traffic circulation improvements near Arroyo Vista Elementary School.
This item, Dave's always been working on, so I'd like to invite him to the.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Okay.
So, item 6 in front of you, okay, great, thank you. Item 6 in front of you is the traffic circulation plan that was developed by staff here, based on our conversations and various visits to the site. Uh, You may remember during summertime, we met with school officials and the school district officials, principals. I've done a lot of field work, also observations of existing roadway conditions all around the schools within the city. And Arroyo Vista Elementary School was perhaps the one with a lot of issues that needed to be really addressed in careful details. So the plan you see in front of you is a traffic circulation plan that was developed after or based on the communications and discussions with the school principal and school districts here. What we're trying to do here in this plan really is to improve traffic circulations within the school parameters. Mainly you see them, of course, El Centro, Pasadena, Hawthorne, and Custom Avenue. Uh, Some of the major changes that we are recommending that we include in this plan was, as you see in the plan here, the no left turn restrictions that are shown at the intersection of Hawthorne and Coston. This one will prohibit left turn movement from eastbound Hawthorne into northbound Coston between the morning and afternoon rush hours or drop off and pickup hours. The other left turn restriction that will be implemented is the one at the intersection of Coston and El Centro. And again, this one will prevent left turn movement during morning drop off and afternoon pickup from northbound Coston into westbound El Centro. Another major change that was recommended here is on the south side of Hawthorne Street. There will be no stopping anytime between Pasadena all the way to Indiana. And that will be effective from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. during uh, all week long, actually, not just during school hours. There were other things he recommended. When I met with the school district after we visited all the schools, there were requests by principals for stop signs at certain locations at each school. So I asked the school district to give me all the locations where they want the stop sign studied. And there was a total of 4 stop sign requests around the schools within our district. And those locations, not just here elementary, but the elementary school on Rawling and Marengo, Bank Street and Meridian, El Centro and Pasadena, Hawthorne and Coston. So I had these locations collected, and I'm putting out a request for a code to a consultant to do staff control warrant studies at all these 4 locations. So for this particular circulation plan for the AV school, that will include Pasadena, El Centro, as I mentioned, and also Hawthorne and Coston. We are looking for the freeway stop control there. Another issue that I've noticed during visiting some of the schools, some of the schools had different speed limit signs actually during when children are present. So there was some locations where it has the 25 miles per hour and some locations where it has the 15 miles per hour. And based on, again, my reviews of all these areas and according to the California Vehicle Code, the prima facie school speed limit is 25 miles per hour. So I asked that we change those, to be consistent all along, to change it back to 25 miles per hour. I want to mention here for this particular traffic control plan, the school principal actually arranged for a meeting with the parents of the school. I met with the parents. We discussed the plan all together and shared all the what I'm sharing with you today. And the majority of the parents really accepted those changes and agreed with what we did. There were some reservations, maybe some comments, whether we should restrict no stopping anytime on the south side or other thing has to do with the speed limit. There were a couple, probably a few requests that to go back maybe to the 15 miles per hour. But just so you know, again, for that 25 miles per hour, it was really something that the school officials and the school districts agreed to put it back to 25 miles per hour at this point. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, thank you.
Thank you, Bassam. There probably are some questions and comments, but I thought I'd just check on public comment, either in the audience or online. Do we have any? Going once? And I know we received 2 in advance. in writing.
Correct.
And those were shared with the commission.
Correct. There are none at this time.
Okay, thank you, Philip. All right, well, we'll close public comment and proceed to the panel. Does anyone have any questions or comments for staff? Commissioner Kerwin?
Yes. So first, can you clarify on the speed limits? You're saying you're changing it. So currently,
No, putting it
At-
back, reversing it back to what the vehicle code actually said.
so around Arroyo Vista, it is currently what speed?
25 miles per hour.
And so you're not modifying, you're just leaving it at 25?
No, actually, Aurora Vista was one of those inconsistent locations. On Pasadena, it showed the 25 miles per hour during school hours. And on Centro, it showed 15 miles per hour. So
So,
I put back the ones on El Centro to 25 miles per hour.
so currently it shows 15 and you want to increase that to
Yes,
25?
yes. Some of these recommendations, by the way, we still have not implemented them because we're waiting for, we put an order for signs. We don't have signs, so we're waiting to receive the proper signs to install. So they're not installed yet. The left turn restrictions is not installed yet. And the 25 miles.
All right, I'll just communicate. So I have a child at Arroyo Vista and I'm on the chair of the mobility for the PTA and spoke with the PTA president to check for any updated feedback that they've received. And some of the feedback I have heard is pressure to reduce speed limits. So the fact that we're increasing them from what it currently is definitely concerning. I think the encouragement was to move to 15 everywhere or 20 everywhere on particularly like Costin, but Hawthorne is really the street now that is going to be much more open, free for traffic to flow without the parked vehicles. So I think speeding on that street is certainly a concern now with these changes that are going into effect. So I guess I would say if there's proactive measures we can take to, I don't know, reduce the speed limit or put in speed control measures on Hawthorne, which will be,
Yes.
much more open to traffic flow.
Absolutely. I mean, we'll go back and study everything. Once really we implement the plan here, my intention was to go back and do an after study to see how is the traffic circulation, if it's improved or if there are any new issues that we might want to consider and what have you. I want to mention something that just came up about 2 weeks ago that wasn't really in the plan. LA County Sanitation District is coming up with a major repiping projects throughout the city, and they will be working on Pasadena and Hawthorne. They will be, I guess, repiping the sewer lines actually there. That project will have some impact on school traffic, and last Thursday, I actually arranged for a meeting with the school principal and the sanitation district and their contractor to sit down together, explain to the principal what this project is all about, how the school traffic will be affected, and so on and so forth. One of the effects of the project, we were able to work with the school, with the sanitation district for that, and they're going to come up with a traffic circulation plan and a traffic control plan that they will share with the principal, and that will be shared with parents as well. But the impact on our circulation plan here is we need to put everything on hold until the sanitation district completes their project. In other words, we'll not be able to prohibit left turns or restrict no stopping any time on the south side of Hawthorne until they finish their project, because these will be construction areas that they will work on. That's also has been shared with the school district officials and the school principal.
Do you know when that project is taking place?
Originally, actually, they were going to start, I think it was end of October or November, but we were able to push them back at least to start around the holidays, after December 15. But they will be there for about a couple of months. The impact simply will be because they will be storing some of their new pipes out on the street. But it's not gonna close any streets to traffic. That's probably I just want to make that clear. The streets will still be open, but we need to work out a detouring and a protection plan that will help protect school traffic, of course, and our children as most importantly. So again, this is still in the work. We have not finalized what the traffic control will be during those. It'll be about 6 to 8 weeks of work in the area. But we haven't finalized the traffic control plan during that period. I'm working with the sanitation district and school officials to finalize that.
So this would not be implemented until the first of next year. Am I
Correct.
hearing correct?
Until they finish their work. Yes.
That actually, so I wasn't aware of that project, but that brings up a separate question in my mind of, is there an opportunity then when they rebuild that street, particularly at that intersection of Hawthorne and Pasadena? It's a very wide, very large
Okay.
intersection there. And what happens is vehicles come off of the coming from, well, on Pasadena, they just continue straight onto Hawthorne. It's a direct kind of straight shot, whereas that intersection could be narrowed a bit, so they have to make more of a right turn onto Hawthorne, slowing them down from, because what happens is when there's the gates go down for the Metro line, vehicles will cut through, use Hawthorne as a cut through. And so potentially reconfiguring that intersection a little bit, if possible, when they rebuild that after the,
So let me clarify something. Actually, there's not going to be any construction or breaking down of the asphalt or anything in that area. And yeah, Michael is familiar with the project from the civil part of it, and he probably can elaborate on it.
Sure. So thank you. LA County Sanitation District has a trunk line. I believe it goes down Arroyo Drive in Pasadena as it enters South Pasadena, goes east on Magnolia and down Orange Grove. And so their project here is aiming to reline that sewer line, but they need to bypass the flow of wastewater at Arroyo Drive and take it and allow it to be pumped back into the sanitation system on Orange Grove and Hawthorne, I believe. So what we're talking about here is the bypass piping that they're going to have to place either at the curb line or trenched underground, and then they bring back up to the curb line. So the work they're doing won't impact the asphalt near the school. However, Commissioner Kerwin, your type of improvements can be included with the next item on the agenda, which is the Pasadena and Indiana Avenue reconstruction project, because this portion of Pasadena Avenue is part of that resurfacing project. So that'll be our opportunity to make improvements to that intersection.
sorry, and so I'll just, one more or comment
Yeah,
here on
please.
this item is, I think there's been concern about unnecessary disruption to neighbors and the community with these modifications. That is there a way to phase them in order to minimize the disruption? I'll speak in particular for the no stopping on Hawthorne. In speaking with the PTA president and other folks, everybody, it seems like the question is, why till 7 p.m.? I mean, there's the left turns are only restricted till 3:15 p.m. 7, people are coming home from work and may want to use that as parking. 7 p.m. is kind of onerous on their convenience there.
Actually, Hawthorne Street in particular, I don't know how it was built or designated in the past. Hawthorne Street, as it stands now, it cannot accommodate parking on both sides of streets. It's 30 foot wide with parking allowed on both north and south side. So from design aspect, you usually take about 8 foot width for parking lane on each side. That's 16 foot. And then you have a minimum of 10 feet of travel lane, that's 20 foot, and 16, that's 36 foot. You need to accommodate parking on both sides of the streets, while our street is only 30 foot wide, if we will allow that. So in a typical situation, in another location, that would be something, would not allow parking on both sides of the street on a 30 foot wide street.
Why,
But,
then why is the reg just 12 hours then? If it can't handle parking, why isn't the regulation 24 hours?
Well, we can, but again, part of really working with the community, we don't want to make it really very difficult. We're thinking, okay, maybe after 7, traffic calm down a little bit, not too many cars around. So give the opportunity maybe for residents of the area to use that space if they need to.
Okay.
I guess just, yeah, the logic to me, this is to try to address school pickup and drop off congestion. And that ends at 3:30 or 4 o'clock at the latest. To go till 7 o'clock just seems excessive or unnecessary. And that issue you present, I understand and agree, that's not unique though to Hawthorne. That's many streets, Orange Grove, where there's so many streets that have that same condition that are too narrow for parking on both sides, yet it is allowed in many places. So along those same lines, I guess even the extending it all the way as far as you do seems unnecessary. The pickup and drop off area is just between Duran and Costin, really, where there's that pedestrian activity. I guess going all the way to Pasadena Avenue, if that's what was stated, that red line goes almost there. That section there, I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is it'll be easier to expand it later, but to once you've blocked it off, it seems like it's going to be hard to say, okay, now actually you are allowed to park there. So I would just consider the community response on some of this that really have no beneficial impact on the pickup and drop off, that are just more burdensome on the community. Or there was a movie night at the school a couple weeks ago, and I mean, there was, a lot of people parking. I don't know where all those cars are going to park in the evening times for events like that. So I'll leave my comments at that.
If I may, there's actually the project, the sanitation district, when they come and start working there, part of their control plan will be restricting parking on the south side of Hawthorne. And we talked about that. We're gonna see how the traffic works when they actually restrict the parking on the south side. That will give us very good idea before we go in and put the signs. And yes, if we see the impact is dramatic and very intrusive, we will certainly look into other options to consider.
Okay. And sorry, one final thing, I apologize. There is this, you had the question, there was the community meeting that you held, and you asked a number of times about this no student drop-off pickup on the east side of Costin. There really was no interest that I heard during that meeting, and I followed up with, again, folks after to see if there's been any other interest in doing that. And really, I think that was just a confusing item for folks that, again, we don't want to restrict parking there. We're already doing parking restrictions enough. There's already, it's not a pickup drop-off zone. So I think you can remove that from the graphic. I think it adds more confusion than is warranted. Or again, I think if your intent was just to put up signs that restrict pedestrian activity, I don't think that was welcomed necessarily. So similarly, down on the corner, you have additional drop-off pickup area. I mean, again, this is
I'm sorry,
parking
which corner?
on the south
Hawthorne and
at Hawthorne and Costin there, you have in gray that additional drop-off pickup. It really, I mean, that's just parking area, and especially with parking restrictions across Hawthorne, it's just going to be parked cars. It's not really a drop-off pickup. So
Correct.
I think those things just kind of add a little more confusion, or it seems like there's more restrictions than in reality of what it is.
And sorry for this confusion, but you're absolutely right. When we met with the parents, that was, if you remember, that was the only item that was left open. And I asked the school principal to really get a feedback from parents to see which way they want. As of today, I haven't received anything. So Yes, I should probably updated this map to remove that because we haven't received any feedback from the school, which, as Commissioner Kerwin is saying, perhaps there was no interest from parents to really restrict that parking. One thing I wanted to mention also, with this plan, we increased the wide zone, both in Coston and on El Centro. On Coston, we increased it by about another 100 foot long, as well as on El Centro. So we're trying to add more time-specific parking to allow really better drop-off and pickup during those hours. And you're absolutely right. For Hawthorne on the north side, we left it gray. Again, we didn't want to just put white curb and limited, but we're saying to parents, that's another location where you can drop your kids if you need to. So just to, yeah, identify good, safe locations to drop children to school.
You good?
Thank you very much.
I just, any other questions? Commissioner Sharma, and then Dunn.
Sure. And thank you, Commissioner Kerwin. It sounds like you have a lot of personal experience with the concerns around. So I appreciate you just kind of taking the time and voicing some of those. Specifically, I agree with some of the parking restrictions and them having events at night, trying to be able to accommodate those. I think I'm going to know the answer to this question, but I just want to ask it. Do you have any speed data yet from Hawthorne or Costin? Like any sort of average speed or 85th percentile speed?
What I have is, if you remember, about a few months ago when I came back with the engineering traffic survey, that was a time when they collected the speed data on the streets. So that's the most recent.
Okay, but you don't know what it is today out
As
there?
of today, no.
Okay.
No.
And can you remind me what's on your consultant's to-do list to look at? You mentioned some signal warrants and multi-way stop warrants.
On at this location.
Yeah,
right
in
there?
this, I missed that
Yeah,
list.
two all-way stop control at the intersection of El Centro and Pasadena.
Okay, El Centro,
And-
Pasadena,
Yes, and all-way stop control at Hawthorne and Casa.
Hawthorne. So those are the two items that they're looking at.
Yes.
Are they looking at any other kind of traffic calming, like speed bumps or speed humps on Hawthorne or any
No.
of these streets? Okay.
And that's because, again, I don't have recent speed data on that.
Okay. One item, and I know that people in South Pass are pretty savvy as far as like transportation goes and state law. I know that when Assembly Bill 43 was adopted, there were provisions in there relating to 15 miles per hour. Like, if I'm reading it correctly, it said this bill would additionally authorize Caltrans and a local authority to declare a speed limit of 20 or 15 miles per hour as specified on these highways. And then I think that, and if you go below it, I need to look at the exact law. It says existing law authorizes a local authority without an engineering traffic survey to declare a lower speed limit on portions of a highway specified approaching a school building or school grounds. So I just want to make sure that if there is the flexibility to go 20 or 15 on these streets, we at least explore that. I think council will get asked. I assume that these speed limits will need a regulation adopted by council, right?
Not the lowering, the AB 43, you do not.
But
don't.
to make them enforceable, will they need a reg, or is it just prima facie?
Well, it's already enforceable by applying this.
Okay. Okay, I think if they can go 20 or if it can stay 15, there's we got a couple of public comment. There's going to be interest in doing that, as well as I'm interested. I'm curious that folks at the school were supportive of raising the speed limit. I just wonder if who those people were. Is it the principal supportive of raising the speed limit? Is it the PTA? Do we have an email or a correspondence that says that they're supportive, or was it just general presentation? And
Yeah, it wasn't in the term of supportive, but obviously they did not reject it. Let me put it this way. And again, I really like to use the term, we're bringing back the normal prima facie speed limit in school zones per California Vehicle Code. the code still shows the 25 miles per hour.
Okay, but is there a flexibility for 20 or 15 around schools?
Yes, we can. Yes, I mean, that's something really we can consider. My concern here when I was looking at this, like I said, first of all, was really, I've seen some inconsistencies within, not just Arroyo Vista, but on other schools, some street has the 15 and some has the 25. So my intention was simply to unify all the schools. And whatever we decided then to make the speed limit here at Arroyo Vista, again, consistency-wise, we have to do the same for all the schools, whether it's going to be 20 or 15, or keep the 25. That will apply to all the schools within the city. So Arroyo Vista, because of the traffic situation there, probably is the best the best case idea to use as an example where if we want to go with the 25 and 20, or even 15 for
Or
that matter.
15, yeah, and
Sure.
I think there'd be a lot of support in making it consistent in the city, and probably a lot of support around 15 and 20 in the city.
yeah.
So if that could just still remain on the table.
I'd like to,
I was going to say, definitely, we can touch base with the principal and
Okay,
coordinate.
one thing I want to bring to your attention also, Commissioners, is when we say when children are present, you know, that's, again, the vehicle code defines that as literally from the start of the school until the end of the school hours, which is 7:30 to 3:30, whatever the school hours. So that means if we put the 15, 20, or 25, that applies throughout that entire period of time, not only during drop-off and pickup. So again, one of the issues that I talked with the police department about it, of the enforcement part, where it's really hard to do that. If we take a location like the middle school on Fair Oaks, we need, that's a school zone there by the school. So that would apply the 15 or the 25. That means that between, let's say, 7:30 to 2:30, the school limit is going to be 15 or 20 on Fair Oaks. That's where I think the police have the issue, like how much can we enforce of that? When there is no school traffic, you know, say 9, 10, 11.
and I think that's why I was asking about other traffic calming too. If knowing that police is going to be limited in when they can be out there, you know, if other traffic calming is being looked at Hawthorne. Again, I don't have the speed data in front of me, so I
Right.
don't know how fast folks are traveling down that street. And I guess lastly, you know, a lot of this is going to require education with the parents on how to pick up and drop off their kids if you want them to take this circuitous route. Like the no student drop off pickup, you can't enforce that. There's not a regulation on the books. If someone wants to pull up to the curb and have someone get out of the car, they can do that. That's more of an education that you would talk to the school and ask them not to do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And again, this one, for now, we're not applying that. It's still open. They can park there now.
Okay. I think that's my question. Just overall, if there still is an option to have your consultant also look at, you know, options, if you collect that speed data and looked at traffic calming on some of these streets around the school, I think this is a good guide, but people will probably not follow it after a while, and then they're just going to drop the kid off and they're going to walk across the street. And so we want to make sure that we slow traffic down as much as possible.
Right now, I guess the only way that we can take quick speed measurements really is utilizing the police department radar trailers. We can put them there because these trailers can take actually speed and volume data as well. But those are also considered speed calming devices. So
Yeah.
when we put them and we're trying to get the real feeling of what the speed is, people are slowing down. So when we bring out that the 85th percentile, it's going to come out low. So I'd like to really, revisit and do other round of measurements. But now with this sanitation district project, again, I want to wait maybe until all said and done, maybe in January or so, we can take another, before we
Okay.
change the speed limit.
I'm sorry, I missed the timeline for the sanitation district
Yeah.
project. When was it?
I think right now their plan is to start mid-December.
Okay, so it's pretty soon.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's my question. As long as we can continue to look at the speed limit through there.
Sure.
Can I follow up on that point real quick?
Quickly.
Apologies. Yeah, I guess I don't understand the objective of consistency when these are very different environments around these different schools. I mean, obviously, Fair Oaks in front of the middle school is a completely different environment that shouldn't have the same, trying to get consistency with a very local two-lane, narrow street. Now, I mean, again, like Hawthorne will be a cut-through street. It's a very narrow street where kids are very close to the moving traffic, and they're not expecting a car to come speeding down. So it would be more appropriate to have lower speeds around Arroyo Vista. Whereas if you're on Fair Oaks, you are, you're aware of the vehicle traffic and the speeds and all that, and you're much more attentive to it. So I think that I don't understand the objective of trying to be consistent across for different circumstances, particularly when we're going in a backwards manner from a safety standpoint. I mean, just because if one school has, a trip hazard, we don't want to put that at another school just to be consistent, I guess.
Well, again, the vehicle code requires us to define a school zone. And whether, regardless if it's facing a major highway or a local street, and school zone are really open, there's no specific number or distance. However, the common practice is 500-foot radius around the school parameters is considered school zone. So whether it's the middle school on Fair Oaks, again, obviously the 500-foot radius will cover Fair Oaks in that case. So we need to define those school districts. Again, the speed, whether it's going to be 25, 20, or 15, within the school zone, we have to put the school zone speed limit. So again, Fair Oaks or on Hawthorne and Central in Arroyo Vista, we still need to define what is the appropriate school speed limit. A maximum of 25 miles per hour. The 15 and 20 are other options that we can always explore and see if those will work, actually. I don't have previous data where, like I said earlier, the speed limit now on El Centro actually it shows 15 miles per hour. Other than, again, the data collected when we did the engineering traffic survey, that is not still finalized, but that's the only data I have. And that, I can't remember exactly what came out to be the 85th percentile on El Centro. I can check on that and bring that later. But yeah, I didn't do a comparison of, let's say the middle school would have a 15 miles per hour speed limit sign, and here on the Central, I'd like to make a comparison and see, yes, you're right, what is the prevailing speed, for example, around school zone for the middle school versus AV school. So you're right. I mean, I can see your point really clear, and that's something, again, to consider. But if we decide at some point to use different speed limits at different schools, again, within the range of 25 to 15, I'd like to bring that back to the commission and actually share it with council, because now we're not being consistent with speed limit around schools. I want to make sure that everybody is on the same page with that. We agree
Right.
on it.
Commissioner Sharma has something. I'm just going to say something. Keep in mind that loading and unloading at each school is a bit different, right? Some schools have loading and unloading on the street. And schools like the middle school, it's within the parking lot, so it's not on the street. So maybe that's a factor. I don't.
Yes,
Anyway,
sure.
sorry, Commissioner Sharma.
Yeah, another AV parent here with 2 kids. So I've lived this map on the screen for the last six or so years. The commissioners have done a great job asking a lot of questions and asking a couple of the questions I had. Going in reverse order of my list, I think I just echo what's been said here about just consideration about different speeds at different schools because they are in different environments. And so understand you may have to bring that back to city council, but I would hope that the council would think that understanding there's different drop-off procedures, there's different roads and different things that it could be considered. So that's just echoing that. And the other thing too, and I appreciate your thought on the consistency of the speed limit, but it will bring one of those numbers up. And so I think that, I think that's going to be a challenge explaining to parents and so forth that the proposed solution requires bringing one of the limits up. And I think that's going to be a tough conversation and I think a tough consideration for the parents and schools to accept on that. I guess the last question I had is, so, I think this all comes from considerations about safety of the families, safety of the students, safety of the community members that live there. And part of the safety is, I mean, I know from firsthand experience trying to navigate Hawthorne, I've seen cars hit each other in the mornings trying to get through that and navigating Pasadena and El Centro and Costa and stuff. And it's chaotic, that's for sure. And I think there's a lot of factors that go into the chaos. And one of the speed is definitely a factor, and I think the morning and the rush, but one of the factors is trying to find parking as well. Because as we know, so and I know from firsthand experience, just looking at this screen, there is very limited parking as you're coming in the morning, as of right now. Like tomorrow morning at about 8:05, there's going to be very few parking spots that are going to be available on this screen. And so I guess my point is if you move forward with the no stopping at any time and you eliminate that, and I get your point about the design of it, it's going to have a ripple effect across the blocks that are not on this screen. And so the parents that would normally park there are now going to have to try to find other parking. And so we're going to be moving towards Orange Grove, towards Mission and so forth, just to find parking and considerations. And I know the school tries its hardest with the drop-off lanes and having parent volunteers, and it's a great effort, rain or shine. There on the drop-off lanes. But if this is the plan to move forward, hopefully there can be some considerations about safety measures, safety considerations at the blocks that are beyond this map. Because now you're going to start to push out where parents are parking, kids are going and rushing. I mean, you have a lot of residents that live off this map that walk in, so that's already there. But now you're going to impact that even more with the number of cars that would normally park along this bottom there. And so just considering the other intersections, if it needs other safety measures to address the intersections that are on the edge of this screen here, but are or even off the screen, but are definitely within Arroyo Vista walking distance.
Certainly, we'll do, yeah. Look at that.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick. Because everyone has spoken to all the points I would want to make anyway. I'm also an AV parent. I feel like the speed limit change, I think it just needs to be made clear that it involves the raising. Speaking of it in terms of consistency, I think sort of hides the point that it's being raised. So I think you've got a great opportunity with these couple of months where the sanitation is in there to do a little more outreach that it clarifies that it's involving a potential increase in some areas. And I share the concerns on Hawthorne I really feel like making a no stopping area there is going to sort of create like a de facto drop off area on that side of the street. As soon as parents get any idea that enforcement isn't happening anymore, it's just a nice long area that people can just stop. So kids are going to be running across that street. So whatever traffic calming measures, if that's speed bumps, if it's like sort of like bulb out things, any sort of measure that would slow people down on that has my support. Thanks.
Okay.
I don't want to prolong this. I just have a couple very quick questions, comments. The stop sign warrant studies at there are a total of 4 locations that are school related, 2 are Arroyo Vista related.
No, the
Right.
4 locations cover other
Right,
schools.
all the schools.
Yes,
2 of them are here.
yes.
When do you plan to do them? And I was
Ac-
wondering if you're planning to do them soon, or you were going to wait to implement this plan and then do them. That was my question.
And actually, right now, just last week, actually, I sent a request for quotes from several consultants to provide me with a fee proposal to do the studies. So again, I will not take counts when there is construction in the area. By the time we get the consultant on board, it's going to be very close to when the construction is going to start. However, if I can get a consultant, let's say by mid-November, I'll have a better idea when the sanitation district will start. I'll, I'll ask the consultant to take the counts prior to beginning of the construction project. So under no circumstances will take any data during
Okay.
construction time.
So I'll leave it to the traffic engineers in the room, of whom there are at least a couple. Just consider whether the study should be done under the present condition or the condition you expect to be in place after you implement this. I don't know if it matters or not, but something to keep in mind. But if you're going to implement these things, does it make sense to implement them and then study whether there's a stop sign? I don't have the answer. I just spot the issue and create problems for others. But so just keep, if you keep
Thank you
that in
for-
mind, whatever you think is best. Two, the neighbor issue came to my mind half an hour ago. I'm glad that a couple of the commissioners have touched on it. I just want to make sure that they're at least part of the conversation and have an awareness of what's being planned, because you're taking away parking, it seems like, at least, and to the extent that you're doing that, that may be a concern. So I don't know how much of an impact it is, but something to be sensitive to. I'm assuming when this gets implemented beforehand, parents will be notified and will have a heads up, not only in the new plan, but on the turn restrictions, so they're aware of it, because sometimes things go in and people aren't on notice, and then they get a ticket, and then it's, it's an unpleasant environment. So notification. Last two things. You mentioned the speed trailers that we use. I confirm with the police department, because this has been something that's talked about for a while. I don't think they have data collection capability. So just check with them on that. I hope.
Yep.
I wish they did. I don't think they do.
Actually, they got 2 new trailers.
Oh, they did?
Recently. Yeah, I think a few months ago, not recently, a few months
Oh,
ago.
fantastic.
They got them or in the process to get them. And I talked with Lieutenant Shan to see what,
Oh, that's
we'll
great.
work together on that. So I think that, yeah, not I think, but I know the new trailers will have the
Oh,
capability
perfect. Well, that's
to take the count.
nice to get good news.
Yes.
Last, you have these 2 additional drop-off pickup areas. So you're leaving the parking the way it is, but you're telling people to the extent there's an open space to use it for drop-off and pickup. I'm just not quite sure how they function.
I'm sorry, what?
So in gray,
Yes,
additional drop-off pickup. You see that?
yes.
So how does that function? Is there a restriction on parking or stopping during certain periods, or it's just, hey, if it's available, you can use
I can
it, or?
comment on that there's already no spots available there. It's already full with parking.
That's what I was
Once
sort of
this goes
thinking.
into effect, it'll always be full of parked cars. So there's really no reason to state that because there's not available space to
So,
use it. So.
Yeah, great minds. I'm just thinking, rethink whether you should even have this notification on your plan, because I think you might be creating an expectation that will not be
Oh.
fulfilled. Do you know what I'm saying? So
All right.
just a comment.
Good.
That was it for me. Thank you very much. Thank you for doing this. And there's some great ideas on here. So thank you. Looking forward to implementation next
After, after the.
5-6 months, I guess, something like that. Okay. Is
Thank
there
you very
anything we're doing in between now and when this goes in? Are there any like temporary measures in place, or we're just waiting to do this?
Yeah, actually, for now, especially during construction, we asked the contractor, the sanitation district, to provide us with their traffic control plan. And this plan, if it's approved by us, I will share it with the school principal again. And I'd like, after tonight's meeting, and I got all these feedbacks from you, I would like to really meet again with the school principal, share with her the thoughts we spoke about today, and get her feeling if, I'm thinking now more that maybe we need to conduct another parents' meeting to also present all these ideas and share with them the thoughts of, speed limit is a big issue that we need to really feel all of us comfortable with what is the proper speed, and something we definitely need the feedback from parents and neighbors in the area. So I'm thinking along the line we speak is talk with the principal, arrange for another meeting with the parents, and discuss all these good ideas that we shared today.
Thank you very much, Bassam and Michael and your team. Any last questions, comments? Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank
Oh,
you.
Chair Abelson. Sorry. Actually, at this time, just want to ask if we can go back for a second, and take a vote for the previous items as they were in the action, discussion section of the agenda. It's just formally, the recommendation for these all are that the commission receive and file updates on the status of each of these projects.
So that'll be items 3, 4,
5, 6,
5,
and 7.
6. Well, 7, we haven't.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to 7.
So maybe we'll do that at the end of 7. You want to do?
Oh,
that
just
one?
do one.
Yeah. Is that
Gotcha.
okay?
Okay.
Hearing no objection. Okay. So let's move on to 7. Thanks again, Bassam. Update on the status of the Indiana and Pasadena Avenue
Oh, we already did that.
reconstruction project.
I'm sorry, I was asking if there's public comment on
Oh.
item number 6.
Did we?
I think we opened public comment at the beginning
Oh.
and closed it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
just making
I'm
sure.
on it, Michael. Come on. All right. Item 7.
Sure, thank you. So this project is the Indiana and Pasadena Avenue reconstruction project that we were discussing a little bit earlier. Proposes to reconstruct Indiana Avenue between Monterey and Via Del Rey and includes the side streets. So Martos Place, Gates Place, Alta Vista up to the Alta Vista Circle. And then there's Indiana Terrace and Indiana Place before we get to Via Del Rey. And then a portion of Pasadena Avenue between Hawthorne and the light rail tracks. So on Indiana Avenue, we're also replacing water lines, fixing sewer lines. We're at about a 30% design stage right now, and part of that design stage is some conceptual plans for connecting the bicycle lane from Pasadena Avenue to Monterey Road. That's in our bicycle master plan as well. So we're looking at options on how to do that best because there is a signal there. So we're looking at some conceptual plans to bring back next month for the commission to review. We also asked our consultant to conduct a photometric study on Indiana Avenue to look at the lighting up there. We've received some concerns from residents that, maybe it's not illuminated enough. So we're taking this opportunity to take a look at what the illumination is up there. And if we need to add some additional pedestrian lighting or street lighting, then we can try to incorporate that with this project as well. Like I said, we're at a 30%, so please expect next month we'll bring the conceptual plans and where we're at to discuss with the commission. And we're anticipating the design to be complete in maybe July or so of next year and construction to begin approximately this time next year. With that, I can answer any questions that the commission has related to this project.
Wait, let me do the public comment check just to make sure. Anyone in the audience or online with a question or comment? I'm sorry, with regard to this project. See none in the audience, none online?
None online at this
All right.
time.
All right, we'll close public comment, and Commissioner Sharma wanted to make a comment. Go ahead.
Just as a relatively new commissioner, could you just give me a brief overview as to the project?
I'm sorry, of this particular project?
Yeah.
So it's a street improvement project. So we're going to be resurfacing the asphalt or reconstructing fully, like a full depth reconstruction
From
on Indiana Avenue between Monterey Road and Via Del Rey, and then the side streets as well. So that's the cul-de-sac, Martos Place, Gates Place, Indiana Place, Indiana Terrace, and then Alta Vista that goes up, and there's the Alta Vista Circle before you reach I'm drawing a blank on the street. But that's the limits of the Indiana Avenue project, and then a small portion of Pasadena Avenue between Hawthorne and the rail tracks.
Got it. That, it
That's-
was that
yeah.
last one, that Pasadena one, because I think it was your response to Commissioner Kerwin on the last item when he had the really good suggestion about rethinking that that corner there at Hawthorne. You mentioned this item, so I was just trying to
Yes.
connect those dots there. Okay.
Yeah, so because we're going to be reconstructing that portion of Pasadena Avenue, I think with this Indiana and Pasadena Avenue reconstruction project, that would be a good opportunity to try to implement some of these improvements that the commission would like to recommend to us.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions or comments?
I'm
Commissioner-
sorry, just, can you just clarify that one more time though? That, what portion of Pasadena Avenue is that? It-
It stops at the intersection of Hawthorne and Pasadena Avenue
Okay,
and goes westbound
Okay.
up to the light rail tracks.
okay. So it's just that segment, so it's the portion of Indiana to Monterey you mentioned, and then that segment over, of Pasadena Avenue, okay.
So there are two separate sections. Indiana Avenue is bound by Monterey Road and Via Del Rey.
Okay,
Pasadena Avenue is bound by Hawthorne and the light rail tracks.
got it. Thank you.
We'll likely need to extend the striping past the light rail tracks to connect right to the bicycle lanes on Monterey. So that's something that we're looking at working with our consultant between now and next month to see what kind of options we have there, including
Commissioner Dunlap.
limitation of the width
Oh.
of the road.
Sorry, Mike.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. I guess my questions are really related to the Pasadena Avenue location. And I know that one of the things that Council Member Rossi mentioned was eventually setting up an ad hoc related to Vision Zero and just past data. If we were to like create a high injury network in the city, this intersection would rise to near the top of the list. And kind of looking back at the deaths that were reported in a past city report, there was a fatal crash at Pasadena and Monterey. There was a bicycle severe injury at this location. There was also a pedestrian severe injury at this location. And then a few months ago, there was a motorcycle death at that corner. And I think the memorial is out there. There's also an uncontrolled marked crosswalk. I think we would be remiss if we didn't take a really, 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 really critical look at the geometrics of that intersection to see what we can do infrastructure wise to reduce the likelihood of those something happening. So I know projects come by in the city like every 20 years, 30 years. You know, this location is one that we've seen a fatal and severe crash history. So we should, I think, as much as we want to resurface the pavement on this, we need to we might want to do some concrete work and, look at the geometrics. I know when you head west, sometimes you're kind of going in that little pork chop island, maybe there's a way to have some
Hawthorne.
visual cues to slow you down before you go into that intersection. So, don't know the plans. If you're at 30% plans, I guess this now would be the time to have those conversations.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just wanted to understand better. You said when we're going west on Hawthorne, it's getting to that pork shop that's, I believe, is just striped right now, correct?
Right.
Out-
You have the pork chop island, but you're heading west and people travel that curve at a high speed and, you're navigating, you might head up to the golf course and you have some crosswalks there. So there's a lot going on and just given at least the data that was presented to us from the city with a fatal at Pasadena, Monterey, a bike severe injury, ped severe injury, and then the recent motorcycle death there. I think we should take kind of a forensic look at the geometrics of that intersection.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dunlap. Anyone else? Okay, so I have a couple questions. I'm having a hard time understanding the section of Pasadena Avenue that you're including in this project. So I'm not being obnoxious and looking at emails. I'm looking at a map. So Cause and Pie, is that part of the location? Yeah. Okay. Is that,
Is it, sorry, so,
It-
oh, that's at the corner of Hawthorne and Pasadena?
it is?
Then yes. Okay.
Okay, so starting at that intersection,
Yes,
and then we're going, I guess, westerly?
yes, towards the light rail tracks.
Okay, and then you hit sort of the continuation of Pasadena Avenue and Monterey Road near South Pasadena Fitness. Is it just that one block that we're talking about?
Yes,
Why are we doing that one block?
I believe it was just from the condition of the pavement. I can double check the exact reason, but I can come back to the commission with that
Okay.
or
'Cause-
follow up with the.
Because I don't remember ever discussing like that one particular block as being something troubled. In terms of payment, traffic flow is a different concern. Okay, so it's just that sort of one long block. The intersection of Monterey and I think it's Arroyo Verde where we have that trouble with, I guess it was water related.
Yes.
Is that also being addressed as part of this, or is that something different?
That's being addressed with the project that's in construction right now.
Okay,
So that's the fiscal year 25-26 street improvement project.
okay.
They've
So
started.
that's
work.
sooner.
That's in
not part of it.
construction right now. Yes.
Fantastic.
Mhm.
Okay, and the timeline for implementation, the actual construction, what you may have told us, I didn't catch it.
So we're in design right now. We anticipate design to be complete sometime in June or July. Afterwards, we would advertise the projects to receive bids and likely be able to start construction around October, November of next year. So in about 1 year between now to get from 30% design to 100% design, advertise the project, receive bids, review bids, go to council award, and enter into a contract.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Sharma?
Yeah, just real quick, because that is my daily route. I know as you make the turn past where Arroyo and Pasadena come, the asphalt and the road work is really bad and rough right there as you try to change lanes, and the islands there. So what is the far boundary of this project? Are you going to go past where Pasadena and Arroyo meet, or is it going to end before in terms of the repavement work?
So on Pasadena Avenue, the work is limited to only between Hawthorne and the rail tracks. It's like a block or so.
Oh,
It does not extend on.
Oh, you're not extending further down Pasadena. So
Mhm.
that the pavement issues down Pasadena there where Pasadena and Arroyo meet, that will not be addressed by this.
Yes, sorry if I misunderstood. That won't be part of this improvement project. We can ask our street maintenance crews to go out there and do pothole patching work. But that portion of Pasadena Avenue will have to be part of a separate street improvement project.
Got it. Thank you for clarifying.
And that's the location I was speaking to. I think the safety
Right.
critiques are closer to Arroyo and Pasadena,
That's why I asked that.
Yeah.
I was with you.
which we need to look at it,
Yeah.
we need to like do something there, but.
Now I know what you're talking about. Yes, that pavement is in really bad shape, so I'm with you 100%. Now I understand. Okay. Any other questions, comments on this project? Okay. Hearing none, would somebody like to make a motion to receive and file the updates on the status of the projects in items 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7?
So moved.
Okay. Yeah, do I have a second? Please?
Second.
Okay. Philip, would you call the roll?
Yeah, Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerwin,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Sharma,
Yes.
Chair Abelson.
Yes. right.
Vote passes.
Thank you. All right, and thank you, Michael, very much. Item 8, minutes of our last meeting, which was a special meeting on August 26th. Sorry, excuse me, August 26th. Any revisions? Comments? I reviewed them and thought they were fine, but make sure no one else has anything. Give you a minute. All right. I'll receive the silence as acceptance. So, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Kerwin. Philip?
Yes, Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Kerwin.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Sharma.
Yes.
Chair Abelson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Moving along to item 9, City Council Liaison Communications. Council Member Ferguson. Welcome.
Hi, how you folks doing?
Good.
I got a new meeting for pork chop tonight, so thanks for that, Commissioner Dunlap. Nothing like some jargon, you know. I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of these projects. I'll start from that AV one. I don't really see much of a point in raising the speed limit signs. If we have signs that are already out there that are reading 15, I would just say let's not spend the money replacing them unless there's some legal reason why we need to. So we can circle back with staff on that one. And then as far as like the left turn, the no stopping, and all that type of stuff, I would just say to kind of envision this as a first iteration in a sense, and that let's try something and see what sticks and what doesn't. And I'm kind of hoping to get to the point where we can be a little more iterative and intentional with the things that we do. So if we're saying we're doing this with the intent of, let's say, reducing the amount of time it takes for people to get out of their cars and reducing the amount of like young pedestrians walking across the street, essentially, then maybe that's what we will achieve in this, you know? So just being able, just kind of looking at this as in terms of taking a step, collecting data, and then figuring out what steps we need to take afterwards, and having a process that can do that in a way that's effective and quick. So on the Indiana project that kind of like end-to-end rebuild, there'll likely be a significant disruption because of how critical a lot of those streets are in the neighborhood. I've kind of asked about what can be done as far as defining better drainage for that street. If any of you have ever had the chance to drive it, there's a lack of curb and gutter. So if we could even do something like a rounded curb, so in the event that somebody needed to pull a car to the side of the road, they can rely on that cement being there. I'd be interested to see what type of things they can think of as far as plans for that. And then future underground conduits can be put in. That's something that I've asked about in other instances, but we'll see what comes of it. On the orange zone reconstruction project, I think that while it's a good step, I can see how I'm not exactly sure how comfortable I would be with exhausting our entire budget on a single zone without having some prioritization. So the scope of that might need to be altered at some point down the line, but it's early enough where we'll shake that out a bit. And then on the let's see, I think the ITS deployment project, I missed when you guys discussed that, but we kind of, that's the one with the bulb outs that we revisited, right? And then the Fremont Huntington corridor improvement, I'm not sure if you folks had a chance to see the package that came from the consultant that that kind of has some examples of like street and side. It has some examples of like street, bike lane, sidewalk, and the way the different orientations and permutations of that arrangement. And I would just encourage the commissioners to kind of take a look at that. We've kind of previously touched on the idea of having like our ideal street defined in our general plan and then figuring out where we're going to implement that versus not implementing that. So I think like taking what the consultant's proposing and figuring out how to merge that with what we're defining as what we'd like to be our global standard for our citywide. This is what we want a South Pasadena street to be, you know, define that and like stick to it is my goal, you know, at some point. So, so I just encourage the commissioner to take a look at that. And I think that is about it for my communications, unless there's something else that I missed. So, yeah, that's about it.
All right. Thanks
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. No comments, questions for Councilmember Ferguson? Okay. Thank you again. Next up, Commissioner Communications, item 10. I'll start on the left. Commissioner Jones.
Nothing
anything?
for you.
All right, I'll skip me. Commissioner Arma?
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Thank you. Once again, thanking the staff for being here late. I appreciate that. I guess two questions that have come up to me that I just wanted to raise here for the staff. One is regarding the question I received, a couple different questions I received from some neighbors regarding street signs. Some which I hadn't realized before, but there are many parts of South Pass have the new street signs with the new logo, but there are still some streets that do not have the new street signs. And I was asked if there's a plan to replace the remaining street signs. So I thought I'd share that.
I'm not going to answer for staff, but I do have something to add about that with the street signs. The
Sure.
old ones that get collected, there's a group in town that attempts to auction them off. They're used for fundraising purposes. And so I would just also want to mention that as staff is going to remove these old signs, to be mindful of that and be sure to save them in case that institutional knowledge hasn't been passed down.
Yeah,
So
I think
just wanted to add that if we're talking street.
Yeah.
I think
Can I get one?
that's Spark, I believe, is the organization.
yeah.
Yes, I had also heard that the old street signs were being collected to be auctioned off. So we haven't disposed of any, as far as I'm aware of. But as we go through these street improvement projects and we're replacing signage, we'll be sure that we're collecting the old street signs and replacing them with the new standard that likely you've seen around town.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. Thank you. So after hearing that from multiple people, I now am pay attention to the old street signs and have noticed that there's still a number of them around. And then the second question is actually something Michael and I talked about before the meeting started. So around Monterey, kind of up in the hills, I live on just off of Oak Hill. Southern California Edison is going through a process of replacing the poles and the street poles, and it's been incredibly disruptive to residents. I myself had to deal with it last week, but I've seen it from other streets around. Have seen our fellow South Pasadeneans upset at Southern California Edison, like out there on the street arguing with them. I feel like there's been and I know this is not a Southern California Edison board meeting, but they have not done a great job of communicating. And so, who I think does do a good job of communicating are you all with through social media and posting, don't go on this street because of some sort of activity, or don't go on this street because there's going to be work. I see it on the different South Pasadena social media. So again, I know that a lot of this is out of your control, but I will ask and comment if there's any way to connect with Southern California Edison. I know they have a government affairs team and intergovernmental affairs staff that are there. If there's some way to connect with them, so I would not put that responsibility if there's like a down power line or something unexpected. Obviously, that's just happens too fast to coordinate. But according to Edison, these are all scheduled outages and scheduled work, and they've done a really poor job of communicating the scheduling, what that's going to be, what the impact is going to be. Is the power going to be out, or in cases that are going on through the hills there, whole streets and whole blocks are closed. And it's really disruptive for people who are trying to navigate that. So if there's some way, Edison, you all can communicate, so when there are the road closures, that they could, give you all a heads up, and then the great work that the team does here in communicating that out through the channels, I think would be helpful. And I'm sure you've experienced it too, living near me.
Yes, heard. And I'll tell you that about last week, there was an outage. And the day of that outage, I was on the phone with the government relations officer to kind of voice a lot of those concerns. One of the issues that I had a problem with was that a lot of the outage notifications said that power would be off, let's say from 8 to 3. And then about 2:59, you got a call from an automated call from Edison letting you know the power would be off, would actually be out till 8 p.m. And then at about 7:55, you got another call from Edison saying, actually, we mean 9 o'clock. And maybe somewhere around 8:45, the power came back on. And so while I can understand that happening on let's say day one of construction, This is by like day 7 of construction where we've had like several outages and they keep pushing back the time, pushing back the time. So that tells me that the way they're estimating their job is inaccurate and they need to do a better job of that. And so I asked that they get back with their team that's scheduling the work and providing the notifications and try to clean that up a bit. And so we'll see what comes of that. I will say in kind of like Edison's defense, they're I would say spread a little bit thin with all the work happening in Altadena. So a lot of the work that we're seeing is happening, is subcontracted out. I think it's Highline Construction they have doing it.
Yeah.
I think part of the driver behind this is kind of making the infrastructure more resilient. So you'll notice that a lot of the wire they're putting up is tree wire, which is insulated to kind of help out with that. And that also means that it's heavier for linear foot. Hence, you need a lot of pole and cross arm replacements. So it's in the good news, but I would say focus on some of the positive in this. It should be a more resilient system. But I do hear you, and I have relayed that information regarding the service interruptions. And I will also add that Edison, in some of these cases, this work has actually been reshaped through conversations with the city. They had originally planned on doing a lot of this with helicopter work, and so that would interrupted a lot more disruption. So it's actually been chopped up to be less disruptive, if you can imagine that. So, so I will say that when we have the communications early, I think we've done a pretty good job coordinating. We've even talked to like PD to have them increase patrols because of the power being out all day for folks. So we're doing what we can, and but I do hear you loud and clear about trying to get better, accurate estimates from them as far as the service interruptions.
Yeah, and I think and to me as a son of a former utility department worker, I understand a lot of it's out of the control, right? Especially with outages and disruptions. But I think there is an advanced awareness of a street closure, right? Like they do know because they do have to hire traffic folks to be there. So while they may not know the length of time the power is out as they're doing it, they will know that tomorrow morning they have to close the street.
Yes, and there's different based on the definition of the street, the ways in which they manage those closures can be very different. And so if it's like a small residential arterial street, the ways in which they permit that are very different than the way they would permit like a major thoroughfare. And so the detail and specificity of the traffic control plans are usually impacted by the nature of that street. And so and then things can kind of change too with that overhead construction. So, so anyways, whatever constellation that is.
Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. Thank you. Thanks. And yeah, thank you, Michael, for the consideration.
Thank you. Yes, I mean, we spoke a little bit about it before the meeting started, but just to share with the group, even last week, we did contact our representative at SoCal Edison to express that we do want advanced notification, especially with road closures. And so at this point, we're working with them to coordinate that a little bit better. Whereas prior to this, perhaps we were relying on them to notify their customers, but we were hearing those sorts of complaints from the community as well. So the city has already contacted SoCal Edison to express that we need to coordinate this a little bit better.
All right. Thank you all. All right, Commissioner Dunlap.
And I won't spend too much time trading Edison war stories, but I had the
Thanks.
same experience on July 26th, where it was 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., then it was 7 a.m. to 2 a.m., then 7 a.m. to 6 a.m., 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m. So almost like a day and a half, and it's a real cost because I threw out all my food. If I'd known it was going to be 2 days, I would have like packed up the car and like gone and played golf somewhere over the weekend and just gotten out of town for the weekend. But because of their poor estimating of how long something would take, it ends up being a real cost to the residents. So thanks for bringing that up.
All right, Commissioner Kerwin.
Okay. Building off of Councilmember Ferguson's comment about the ideal street and all that what's kind of something that's been weighing on me for a while now is just the standard design should include some basic things, just like crosswalks on all 4 legs of an intersection. I throughout the whole city, I see often there's 2 or 3 legs right called a coffee sitting there, and there's just on 3 legs, so this guy would have to cross 3 streets to get just across the one street. Of course, nobody does. They just walk across. And to Commissioner Sharma's point about now people parking further away from Arroyo Vista, let's say further east on Hawthorne. I mean, there's no crosswalk on Hawthorne, and uh, that for folks to cross there safely, or in many places. Another one along those lines would be just have it standard to have the walking indication on signals where if it's a red light, just it should automatically have the the walking man automated. I even at Mission and in front of Jones, I don't know if it's still that way, but many times I've been there and the gates come down, you got red lights and you know, it's a stop hand. You can't cross the street. It should just automatically be, but there's many places I've seen like that. So just a couple items I think seem like easy standard fixes. But particularly as we're doing some of this repaving, let's put crosswalks at all 4 legs of the intersection. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I just say
Sure.
one more thing, though? I know that this commission has emphasized the importance of the Mission Slow Streets project. I know you have a lot going on your plates. I just want to continue to keep that on the forefront of your mind. That's a priority, I think, for this commission. So I hope we get updates on that soon.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to shock everybody and not add anything more to your list. I don't have anything new this month. I would love to see some of the suggestions we have made in the past, looked at. But no, I don't have anything in addition to this meeting. So I think with that, we're done with item 10. Last but not least, staff liaison communications. Anything else?
I
Come
would
on,
like to
Antenna. Nothing?
introduce, I,
Okay. Oh.
I would like to introduce our Public Works Director, Julian Lee, who is with the city now.
Welcome.
Welcome.
You look familiar.
Welcome.
I think I've seen you before.
I thought it was just a member of the community really interested in public works.
Well, congratulations. We're happy to have you. Look forward to working with you.
Well, I'm gonna say welcome on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And best of luck. Michael, anything? Okay, all right. Julian, anything you want to share with us now or no pressure? Okay. All right. With that, I think we've come to the end. So I'll call this meeting adjourned for the evening. Thank you all.
Thank you.